You go to bed feeling fine. The room is warm enough, the blanket feels comfortable, and everything seems normal. But at some point during the night, you wake up feeling cold. Not freezing, but noticeably uncomfortable. Sometimes it's your legs, sometimes your arms or shoulders, and sometimes it feels like the cold comes from inside rather than from the room. This often leads people to blame the temperature, the heating, or the blanket. But very often, the real reason is much closer to the body. Pajamas play a bigger role in nighttime comfort than most people realize. Unlike daytime clothing, they stay in constant contact with the skin for hours, while the body is still and vulnerable to heat loss. Understanding how pajama fabric works during sleep helps explain why warmth disappears at night, even when everything seems right. Feeling cold at night is about heat loss, not just warmth. Feeling cold during sleep is rarely about not having enough warmth. It is much more about how quickly the body loses heat when it is at rest. During the night, your body moves less, muscles relax, and circulation slows down, especially in the arms and legs. This makes the body more sensitive to even small amounts of heat loss. Unlike daytime activity, when movement constantly generates warmth, sleep puts the body in a low-energy state. In this condition, fabrics that allow heat to escape too easily can make you feel cold, even under a blanket. The sensation often appears gradually, which is why you may fall asleep feeling comfortable and wake up cold hours later. Nighttime comfort depends less on adding warmth and more on reducing unnecessary heat loss while the body is resting. Pajama fabric sits close to the skin. Pajamas interact with the body in a very different way than regular clothing. During sleep, fabric stays pressed against the skin for long periods, especially when you lie still. This close contact means that any issue with breathability, moisture, or texture becomes more noticeable. If the fabric traps moisture, even in small amounts, it can create a cooling effect that pulls heat away from the skin. If the fabric is too smooth or synthetic, it may prevent air from circulating properly, making temperature regulation harder. Unlike daytime clothes, where movement and airflow help balance comfort, pajamas have to work on their own. When the fabric doesn't support this balance, the body struggles to maintain warmth, and the result is that familiar nighttime chill that seems to come from nowhere. Breathability matters more at night. Breathability becomes especially important during sleep, because the body regulates temperature differently at night. Even when you feel cold overall, your body may still release small amounts of heat and moisture through the skin. Pajama fabric needs to allow this excess heat to escape gradually, otherwise the system breaks down. When fabric does not breathe well, heat and moisture get trapped close to the skin, creating an unstable environment. At first, this may feel warm, but over time it often leads to cooling. As moisture accumulates and cannot evaporate, the skin loses heat faster, and the body struggles to restore balance. This is why some pajamas feel comfortable when you fall asleep, but uncomfortable later in the night. Breathable fabrics help maintain a steady microclimate around the body, reducing sharp temperature shifts and making warmth feel more consistent rather than temporary. Moisture is the hidden reason you feel cold. Many people assume they feel cold at night because they are not warm enough, but moisture is often the hidden factor. Even without noticeable sweating, the body releases moisture during sleep. When this moisture stays on the skin or inside the fabric, it increases heat loss significantly. Dampness pulls warmth away from the body much faster than dry air. Pajama fabrics that absorb moisture but don't release it can quietly create this cooling effect over several hours. This is why you may wake up feeling cold, even though the room temperature hasn't changed. The issue isn't a lack of insulation, but the presence of moisture where it shouldn't be. Fabrics that manage moisture will help the skin stay dry, which makes it much easier for the body to maintain warmth throughout the night. Tight pajamas make heat regulation worse. Pajamas that fit too tightly can interfere with the body's natural ability to regulate heat during sleep. While tight clothing may feel comfortable during the day, it behaves differently at night when the body is still for long periods. Tight cuffs, elastic waistbands, and fitted sleeves can slightly restrict circulation, especially in the arms, legs, and ankles. During sleep, circulation already slows down, so even small restrictions can make a noticeable difference. In addition, tight pajamas leave little room for air between the fabric and the skin. Without this layer of air, heat escapes more easily, and warmth cannot stabilize. The body then has to work harder to maintain temperature, which often leads to waking up cold. Pajamas that allow gentle movement and space tend to support nighttime comfort much better than those designed to hug the body closely. Why soft doesn't always mean warm. Softness is often mistaken for warmth, especially when choosing pajamas. Fabrics that feel very smooth and cozy to the touch can seem like the best option for cold nights. However, softness alone does not determine how warm a fabric will feel during sleep. Some very soft materials are designed to trap heat quickly, but struggle to release moisture or allow airflow. As a result, they can create an initial feeling of warmth that fades as the night goes on. Once moisture builds up, the same fabric that felt comforting can start pulling heat away from the body. This is why pajamas that feel luxurious at bedtime don't always keep you comfortable until morning. Warmth during sleep depends on balance, not just texture. A fabric needs to manage air, moisture, and contact with the skin, not just feel soft at first touch. Pajamas versus bedding. Who does what? It's common to assume that staying warm at night is mostly about the blanket. When people feel cold, they often add another layer on top, change the duvet, or increase the room temperature. But pajamas and bedding serve very different roles. Bedding works by trapping warm air around the body, while pajamas regulate how heat and moisture move directly at the skin level. If the fabric next to your skin doesn't manage moisture or airflow properly, no blanket can fully compensate for that. Pajamas act as the first layer of the sleep system. They influence how heat is distributed, how moisture is absorbed and released, and how stable the temperature feels throughout the night. When pajamas don't work well with the body, bedding has to do more than it was designed to do. And that imbalance often results in waking up cold despite having enough layers on top. Temperature changes during the night. Body temperature does not stay the same while you sleep. It naturally drops and rises in cycles as part of the sleep process. These changes are subtle, but they strongly affect how warm or cold you feel. Pajamas that feel fine at bedtime may stop working a few hours later when your body temperature shifts. Fabrics that cannot adapt to these changes often cause discomfort during the night. If a fabric traps too much heat early on, it may lead to moisture buildup, which later creates a cooling effect. If it releases heat too quickly, it may leave the body unprotected during cooler phases of sleep. Good sleep comfort depends on how well pajamas respond to these natural temperature changes, rather than trying to keep the body at one fixed level of warmth all night long. Why you feel cold even when the room is warm. Feeling cold at night often feels confusing because the room itself doesn't seem cold. The heating is on, the temperature looks comfortable, and yet your body still reacts as if warmth is missing. This happens because nighttime comfort is not controlled by room temperature alone. When you sleep, your body produces less heat and becomes more sensitive to small imbalances. If pajamas allow heat to escape too easily or fail to manage moisture close to the skin, the body can feel cold even in a warm environment. The contrast between warm air and cooling skin creates a stronger sensation of cold than actual temperature would suggest. This is why raising the thermostat or adding another blanket doesn't always help. The issue isn't the air around you, but the microclimate between your body and the fabric you're wearing. When that layer doesn't work properly, the room temperature becomes almost irrelevant. What makes pajamas feel warm without overheating? Pajamas that feel warm throughout the night rarely rely on heaviness or thickness alone. Instead, they support the body's natural ability to regulate temperature. Fabrics that allow gentle airflow while managing moisture help maintain a stable feeling of warmth without trapping excess heat. They create a balanced layer that adapts as the body's temperature changes during sleep. This is why the most comfortable pajamas often don't feel especially warm at first touch. They become comfortable over time by preventing sharp heat loss and avoiding moisture buildup. Rather than forcing warmth, they help the body hold on to its own heat more efficiently. When this balance is achieved, warmth feels steady and unobtrusive, and sleep becomes deeper and less interrupted by temperature discomfort.